right-hand side, if you notice. Good
Yeah,
morning, everybody. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to Talking Niagara. And it
my
is,
picture should be on that logo. It would make it look much better.
yeah, well, anyway. Yep, so there's an AI generated logo for Talking Niagara. There we go. So welcome to the show. It is January the 12th. Yeah. Second week in January. Uh, it's downhill from now on, isn't it?
I'm already getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah, you are. Okay.
I said the
Yeah,
same thing last year in
I know.
January,
I know.
and like, look, it was like blink your eyes, and we're in January again.
Yeah, I know. I know. Absolutely. Okay. Nationwide U.S. protests after ICE agents killed a woman in Minneapolis last week and injured somebody else in Portland, Oregon.
I don't know about the Portland one. I don't know much about that at all.
No, neither do I. It's just it's funny. I got articles from this from CNN, and I got article from another article from USA Today. Different political stances there, of course, but I didn't find out much about. The only place I knew about the Portland one is USA Today.
Yeah, there
Anyway,
doesn't seem to be that much controversy over the Portland one.
yeah,
I think they said they had a Aragua type of Venezuelan, a couple of Venezuelans, wasn't it?
I,
It's kind of ironic that
yeah,
uh, they just attacked
yeah,
Venezuela, and they got Venezuela criminals or whatever. But the big one, of course, is one in Minneapolis,
yeah,
and it is outrageous. I've never seen anything like it. So you have this incident happening, and the president, the vice president, the director of ICE, Christy Noem, they all take a side right away. They take a side right away before any investigation.
yeah,
Nobody says, well, we'll look into it. We'll get the investigation like you're normally supposed to do.
yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
any political official does that. It You could say it doesn't look good. There are indications that the officer might felt he was in danger. There were indications that he overstepped his bounds. There's all kinds of things you could say, maybe, but number one, you say, "I will not talk about this until there's been a full investigation,
Yeah,
and then we can have all the facts." So, right, what they did right away is call, call this lady Michelle Good or whatever her name was, that she was a domestic terrorist and that she was aiming her car at an agent, and
renegade.
yes, an ICE agent, and she had planned to harm him, and he would narrowly escape, and the only thing he could do was shoot her in the face. And then everybody looks at the videos, and nobody agrees with that story.
Yeah,
I looked at the videos, and I thought, like, over and over again, and I see this guy who could have easily got out of the way of the car. He
yeah,
didn't need to have his gun drawn. He had his gun drawn before she even moved, and he put a bullet in her. And then two more after, she passed by, already dead, but nothing she could do about it then.
yeah.
And then they're telling me that yes, she weaponized her car, and
Well,
she
that was
was.
wrong. Obviously, she weaponized her car. That was a wrong thing to do anyway, right?
They keep saying that she's doing that.
Yeah,
Chrissy Noem, what last night or something said that on an interview, or maybe it was the night before, but they're trying to tell you what you're seeing. You're trying to tell you what you see is not true. It's very obvious that this lady, well, okay, she blocked traffic, but everybody was getting around her anyway. And then when the officers tried to get into her car, she tried to take off, and obviously she moved her, or she steered her car to avoid the officer, but he stayed planted instead of just jumping to the side. He stayed planted with his gun already drawn and put a bullet to her. And when she drove by, two more, that endangered not only that endangered everyone that was around there. The protocol for these officers is not, number one, never get in front of a car.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That is their protocol. That is their training. Never get in front of a car, and never shoot at a car that is escaping. Because what you do is you put bullets out there that could deflect or whatever and cause injury to innocent people. You're supposed to track down that car at a later time.
Yeah, if she's got her foot on an accelerator and you shoot her, her foot could go hard into the accelerator and kill people.
Well, the very fact that the bullets could kill people, he shot 3 rounds.
Well. Yeah,
he shot 3 rounds. He shot 3 rounds with people around, like there were bystanders around there. So he shot 3 bullets that could have gone anywhere. The first one went right into her face, but it could have passed through her, and got to people behind. 2 more bullets after that, it could have hit a bystander. So first of all, he does everything wrong. He gets in front of the car, which he is told not to do, right? And then he shoots at a car that's taking off, which he's taught not to do. And now they've spun the story like she's weaponized this. And then they lied about her earlier, saying that she was antagonizing ICE agents prior to this, and she hadn't. She had just dropped her kid off at daycare. And I think she then decided that she's going to put a monkey wrench into the ICE things. But she wasn't really stopping much traffic because they were all going around her.
Yeah.
And this guy could not. This guy was a wimp. This guy, Jonathan Ross, like he'd been hit before. He'd been dragged by a car because he stuck his arm in the car and the car took off, and he got a bunch of stitches. But in this particular case, it was a little skip that he could have got out of the way. He was a total wimp. Wimp. Like if he's felt fear of that woman after he talked to her and he felt afraid of her, what's the matter with you, man? Oh, God. All you had to do was jump out of the way. That's it.
Yeah. The whole question about whether she weaponized her SUV to run him over, that's obviously up for interpretation, isn't it?
I don't think there's much interpretation at all. She isn't exactly the type of person that would weaponize a car. She's not a type of person that has a violent background. And like, who thinks of that anyway? I'm going to weaponize my car right now when I've got ICE agents all around me.
Yeah, no.
And it's clear what she's doing. She's trying to steer away from the guy to get around the car that's beside her. Yeah. She backs up and then she turns her wheels and tries to take off. And the goon, Jonathan Ross, has already got his gun out pointing at her. He's in front of the car, which he's not supposed to do. And he's at the front side of the car, the driver's side. And he could have easily just stepped aside. But what he does is he leans into the car with his hand over the hood and shoots. He gets brushed by the car. And the president says, I'm surprised he's still alive after being hit by the car. Well, he gets brushed by the car because he's trying to take aim at her. That's why he stays where he was. All he had to do was move.
Yeah, ICE are becoming well known for thuggery right now.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of incidents where they pull their guns and they pull their pistols and they put it right in the face of people, threaten them. So you got these demonstrators, with their signs and stuff, and then the guy will pull a gun and push it right in the face of the protester. Like, what the heck's that all about? I mean, you just withdraw your area, come back later after the protests are gone. That's what's happening in the States now. They have, unfortunately for ICE, they're supposed to be going after these criminals, and I suppose they are the worst of the worst. Supposed to be going after the worst of the worst, but they've got a quota of 3,000 a month. So of course they're going to go after the low hanging fruit because criminals are much more savvy. They're going to hide when they see ICE agents around. They're going to hide, and they are much better equipped to be clandestine than the average person. So what does that mean? It means ICE agents have got to go roam around and see anybody that's brown and ask them for their ID. Yeah. And you see this all over the place. A guy pulls up to get some gas, gets out and starts putting gas in his car. And an ICE agent comes up to him and said, "Let me see your ID. Were you born here? Where were you born? Where do you live?" And all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating. And they're dragging people away they shouldn't be dragged away. They're interfering with their life. A little while later, they might release them, but their training is bad, very bad. If somebody, this Jonathan Roth guy that killed this woman, he knows. Like, he's supposed to be a combat veteran and all that, whatever it is. He knows he blew it bad. I think he got intimidated by Renee Good's wife. I think he just got really angry, and that's why he pulled out his gun right away. He was filming the van or her car and filming the license plates and filming what she looked like. And then the partner of the driver, Good was the Good's partner, starts to antagonize him. "Go get some lunch, big boy. Don't bug us." And then at that point, he switches his camera from his right hand to his left hand and pulls out his gun because he's already mad. He's already angry, and he's got his gun out. Notice that none of the other officers there even went close to getting their guns out.
The interesting thing is about all of this one is, of course, the demonstrations it sparked were incredible sized, right? Hundreds of thousands in many, many cities across the US.
Yes, because and this is for a couple of different reasons. I believe that the people were outraged by the official position of the White House and Kristi Noem. They jumped to conclusions. They started to put spin on the story right away rather than waiting for an investigation. Like I said before, everyone else says, "I don't know exactly what happened. I'm going to wait for the investigators to do their complete job,
normal.
and then I'll form an opinion after the investigators do that." But right now, what they're shutting out the local authorities from the investigative process. A guy like Patel is the FBI's are the ones that are doing the investigation. So that it's not going to be done ethically and truthfully, because he's a slave of the president. When the president tells him that Martians did it, he'll come up with that conclusion. So you've got officials you can't trust. So that's part of the big problem. That's part of the objections that are going on there. And the fact is that this is a bit too far, really. Now you're killing innocent protesters. I mean, she was killed 4 minutes after she pulled up there. She pulled up there, waited a second, and then pulled across the front, started blocking traffic. But she wasn't too successful, as you can see by the videos, because everybody was getting around her anyway.
Yeah,
and so she was really unsuccessful, and within 4 minutes she was dead.
Yeah, and in some respects like that, you've got agents around who've got guns. In some respects, why are you antagonizing them? And I'm just kind of saying sensible things, but you know what I mean? It's like, I get the situation is not normal there at the moment.
Well, that's the United States. You're going to get protests because it's the United States. But it would happen here in Canada too. We're a free society. There's going to be lots of people who disagree with what ICE does and how they do it. So you're going to protest. And of course, when you get protests, you're going to get a lot of angry people. And these people, these ICE agents are supposed to be trained. They're supposed to be trained to tolerate that. They are told this is going to happen. Everywhere you go, there's going to be protests against you. So you have to learn how to tolerate that. And you're going to have to learn how to have a pretty thick skin when people are yelling at you. But instead, you get the goon style squad going on.
Yeah. Okay. And the thing is, ICE are not exactly, they're not exactly good behaving, if you know what I mean. made themselves really out to be quite a quite a goon squad, haven't they?
Well, they get paid very well. They get signing bonuses. They get paid
Yeah.
very well, and they get to be anonymous. They get to cover their face. I don't know where anywhere else in the world, in the democratic world, where a police officer covers their face, a law enforcement person covers their face, so they don't have to face the music of their actions. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I say, but try to put yourself in the position of an ICE agent. Okay, you're going to get a really good job. And let's say you are a patriot and you figure, well, yeah, the country is full of illegals. Now I can go there and help get rid of these. The president of the United States was elected by a majority of the people of the United States, including popular vote. That was one of his big promises, to get rid of the illegals. They poured into the country over Biden's term. Like, I mean, what, 10 million people came into the country under Biden?
Yeah.
So it was ridiculous.
Well, that's what they're claiming anyway. I don't know.
I think they're very close. I think they're very, very close to that. They're at least half of that. And I think that the 10 million people that poured in, or 10 million illegals, I don't know if they all poured in under Biden, but many, we saw that wave after wave of people just coming through on the southern border. And Biden administration was just too stupid. They couldn't handle it. And anyway, so Trump comes in and he promises that's going to stop, which it did stop. But okay, the border's closed up. That's pretty good. So you're not getting as many illegals coming in. So that's good. So now you go chase all the ones that are already in the country. But what do we find? We need them to work in farms. We need them to work in restaurants. We need them to work everywhere, all these other jobs that nobody else is taking.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to go after criminals, but you can't make your quota because the criminals are the ones that hide the best. They're the ones that know what to do. They're an organization of criminals and of criminal activity, so they're very good at hiding and staying out of the way, even without ICE going around. And so what you have to do then, you go after the low-hanging fruit. You go after Juan, the fruit picker, or you go after Juan, the guy that keeps the grounds at the local hotel. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out one comment. Shame on the government for killing people, by Betty.
Yeah, that person need not, in no scenario that I see myself, that ICE agent ever look as if he was in danger at all, particularly when he's done everything wrong, like stand in front of a car. He stands in front of the car and he pulls out his gun before she's moving. I mean, he intended to shoot. He wanted to shoot somebody, that idiot.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on. A Niagara Falls artist, a 1963 photograph, and a surprise visit by the subjects. That's kind of our next article. So, a Niagara Falls artist, Emily Andrews, was recently painted a portrait of a couple of siblings that were in a 1963 photograph of them watching a solar eclipse. And to her surprise, the actual subjects came visiting. So
yes,
yeah.
So
that's kind of unusual. And it's unusual, actually, normally for artists to paint pictures out of photographs is unusual.
Well, it excited the artist, Andrews. Yeah. And the reason why I put this here is because I know those people.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. Glenn Motter said he's the guy that got me the job in Libya. When the 3 years I worked in Libya, Glenn Motter says the guy that got me that job. Okay. And I went to high school with him. And his sister there, I know his sister. I think that they made a mistake here. I don't think that's Joyce. I think that's probably Janice, but I'm not quite sure. But anyway, yeah. So these are kids. This is 1963. I moved into town in 1968, and I knew Glenn from the fall of 1968 to this very day, and he's a good, solid friend of mine. And I put
Do you
that
remember?
there.
Do you remember the eclipse of '63?
I do, but I was in Scarborough at the time.
Yeah. Okay. Just
I was in
asking.
Scarborough. Nobody would let us watch it because we didn't have. They've got welding shields in this picture here,
Yeah.
which is good. Their dad was able to get them welding shields. He was a wheel with the education system in Niagara Falls, and he was also a photographer. Him and his wife were a photographer. Glenn's mom and dad were very prominent citizens, and so they the welding shields they got, but in my range, we weren't allowed to watch the eclipse because it was going to damage our eyes, and we didn't have anything to stop it, so we had to watch it on TV, even though we could look outside and see everything getting dark, right?
Yeah.
But on the TV screen, it showed the moon getting in front of the sun, making the eclipse. So I do remember that, but I wasn't able to watch it with my naked eye, basically.
But the worst about it is that 2 years ago, year or 2 years ago, we had it was 2 years ago, we had an eclipse, total eclipse here, and we couldn't see a damn thing. We were hidden by clouds.
Yeah, I remember that too because I was I did catch glimpses of it. I did catch glimpses of it. I had a welding shield.
Well, yeah.
I had a welding shield, and I just was just across the street there and looking straight up. Once I found where the moon was, I just kept or the sun was. I just kept my eyes there, and the clouds would break every once in a while, and I'd see the.
Oh yeah, I know, but it was clouds would break once in a while, and it depends on where you are. The clouds for us broke about 2 or 3 times, but it really was not that impressive at all, because it was of the cloud.
Yeah, but I remember that '63 eclipse that this picture's all about.
Yeah,
because I thought everything was going to get pitch black, and I was kind of disappointed. It got dark. It got really dark, but it didn't get pitch black, which I thought it would do. So it's a little bit disappointed. Hey, I can still see.
Yeah.
Of course, that was like an 8-year-old Dave, or maybe 9. Maybe I was 9 years old. Yeah.
Okay, so all right. Well, okay. Moving on. Community representative, and I'm going to butcher his name. I know it. Nayari Kapisavanhu was elected chair of the Niagara Police Regional Services Board. Right?
I don't have that article.
I thought I put it up there for you. I swear I put it up last night. Weird. Okay.
Crime Stoppers. I've got Crime Stoppers. I've got this one. I've got one I put.
Okay, well, let's just give it to you.
The reminder that Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was a prolific coke dealer.
Yeah, we're going to get. I was going to just giving it to you. Okay.
All right.
I thought I'd given it to you before.
No, you didn't. No, but I got it now.
Yeah. Okay. So basically,
okay, I can't speak to this because I haven't read it yet. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, he's taken over Nayari Rai has taken over from Pat Chiochio as the chair of the Niagara Regional Police Services Board, and he's the chair for 2026. And he's basically saying he's got committed to advancing the adequate and effective police governance, strengthening accountability, transparency, and working closely with Chief Fordy and his leadership team to advance the regional police service. right? And he's talking about key priorities being oversight of strategic objectives, building community trust and safety, and fiscal responsibility. The fiscal responsibility is the one that most concerns me, because we've got a police budget that's out of control right now.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much stopping the steamrolling of the police budget. It is how much of the regional budget does it take? Was it 2/3 or something?
Yes.
Did I get that right?
Too much. It was way too
Anyway,
much.
it's huge.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of legacy costs coming with every new officer. There'll be new pensions payments. There'll be new medical and all those other things. So you can only see that the regional police will just grow and grow and grow like some great monster if they can't find some way of making police services cheaper. And I suppose we need a guy like that to sit on the board and say, well, how can we reduce costs somewhere, somehow? Yeah. There's got to be inefficiencies. And as I said before, I think the equipment, like bulletproof vests, you want the best ones you can possibly get for your officer.
And you need you need cameras as well.
Cameras, but they say, oh, okay, well, that's one of the big issues. Well, cameras will cost too much, so we'll cut that out of the budget. So what is it? Peel and Niagara Region are the only ones that don't have cameras on their officers.
Well, Mike says
that tells me they don't want the camera.
But Michael also says, what about the ones we've already bought?
Yeah,
why aren't we deployed? You know?
Oh, I don't know. They're avoiding that. They're avoiding that like crazy. They don't want to do that. And when budget time comes, they say, look, this is a huge cost, but we can cut it back a bit if we don't deploy the cameras. They don't want to put on the cameras at all.
Well, and the thing is, one has to ask questions about any police force that doesn't want to put the cameras on.
Yeah, seriously, you got to wonder why they don't want to.
Yeah.
Most
of the police forces that have put cameras on have found, there's been, yes, they've been subject to criticism, but generally speaking, they've improved how they behave over the past 5 years.
Well, the problem is if you see any videos on, of course, you see a bunch of videos that when the police have their cameras on, it is revealing the mistakes they make or the sort of the excesses they employ. And it looks like it's a lot, but remember, there's police forces all over the States and Canada. So you get incidents. It makes it look as if there's a lot more of it than there is. But in those particular cases where police officers misbehave or take liberties and stuff like that, that's a good safety zone for people. When the police are wearing a camera, they're going to do things properly, aren't they? They're not going to take shortcuts. They're not going to shove guns in your face. Like the ICE officers don't have to wear the little cameras. Notice that, So anyway, but that aside, what you were saying is sort of fiscal responsibility there. I'm not so sure this guy's going to be able to do anything. What do you think?
No, I'm seriously doubtful as well. I'd like to see something like that, but and that's the point about having civilians on the police board, isn't it? To actually take a more reasoned view and actually have an outsider who can say, maybe we should do this, not that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just basically a figurehead. I don't know how much he's going to be able to drill down, how much resistance he's going to get in anything. He might be just that person you need to put on there for show.
Yeah.
Obviously they took a new Canadian basically by the name. They put one in there. Maybe that's part of the show too. Show diversity. they're still doing that kind of thing, right? So it's important that they show diversity. So they'll put a, I think his name is Indian or something.
He works for the University of Toronto Rotman School of Management, Directors of Education Program. So he's Management Directors Education Program. So he has skills behind him.
Yeah, he does, but can they be actually applied, or is this just a nice plum little appointment to put a little more cash into his jangle a few more coins in his jeans? So yeah, so he's looking for accountability and transparency and wanting and working closely with the Chief 40 and leadership team. So you get the regular blah blah blah. So this article announces that he's going to be on the board and he's going to do all the things that you're supposed to do.
He was vice chair of the board.
Strengthening accountability and transparency and all that. So
he was vice chair of the board last year, right?
You what?
He was vice chair of the board last year.
Well, so does that mean that he's
moved up from vice chair to chair?
Well, he's notched up.
Yeah,
but still, my question is he going to really be that effective? It's not that he's not going to try, but is he going to be that effective?
Yeah, fair question. I'm not going to answer it, and I'll leave everybody to draw their own conclusions. But it is a very fair question. All right. So, moving on, provincial legislation and municipal bylaws are restricting where unhoused people can be in public spaces, and have criminalized open air drug use.
Oh, you're talking about here we go again. It's just another take on different solutions to the homeless, or at least different approaches to the homeless or unhoused population. The certain so-called experts here from Brock fear that latest legislation or latest attempts to deal with the unhoused puts them in a situation where they're sort of criminalizing them.
Yeah,
and that and a rejection of them. But when I read the article, I can't think of how we going to deal with it, because in the article it implies that if somebody throws up a tent in the park, basically, you shouldn't be getting them out of there. So there are restrictions on, like, so you put up a tent in the park, they'll get rid of you. Say Montebello Park in St. Catharines. So a bunch of people start putting up tents. Well, they got to get rid of them. So that's marginalizing these people and treating them badly, and especially when they have nowhere else to go and stuff, and so forth. Right?
And we're talking about St. Catharines. They have an encampment bylaw, which was set up in April of 25, which basically means that homeless encampments within specific distances of sensitive areas include 100 meters proximity to schools and daycares, 50 meters from playgrounds, sports fields, splash pads and wading pads, 30 meters from residential properties, cemeteries and railway infrastructure, and 10 meters from any body of water.
So these are called ugly laws. In other words, these are laws that at one time were aimed at marginal people in society who had physical handicaps and things like that. Maybe they were beggars or something, I don't know. But it has since become the ugly laws of the unhoused and the vagrants and stuff. So it's designed to disappear people, it says. Brock University experts argue recent municipal and provincial laws that affect unhoused people, many living with mental health and addiction issues, are indicative of the ugly laws designed to disappear people. And basically, what else are you supposed to do? Now I hear this, and I agree with a lot of it. Like, yeah, they're trying to get rid of, or disappear these people, not disappearing, killing them, but just pushing them away from sight, away from the business district, away from the parks, away from schools.
For example, shooting up in public is a bad thing.
Yeah, but my point here is, yeah, this is true, but what solution do you have? Yeah. These are the experts that are pronouncing this, and yet tell me, expert, what would you do? And you never get that. You get vagaries. Well, we got to be more kind, and we got to be more, we got to help them out a little bit more, and this and this and this. So you have vagaries of solutions. When the city gets sick of, and I predicted this over and over again, that we're going to get less and less tolerant of vagrant populations. We don't going to like them. They poop and pee in the parks. They some of them are entitled. Some of them just get stoned and right in the middle of downtown and just do the zombie thing right there, which looks horrible. Yep. So what are you going to do? What is your solution? Like, everybody says, oh, whatever we're doing is bad. It's no good. But what are you going to do? What is your solution? And that's what is completely frustrating to me all the time with this is, no, we can't do that. No, we couldn't do that. No, we shouldn't be doing this. And no. And we shouldn't be pushing them off of the parks. And we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing that. They have rights, blah, 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 blah. And yet the solution, there is no solution. They don't come up with any solution.
Yeah.
They just get vaguer and vaguer and vaguer, which annoys me immensely. Come up. What is your solution? What can you do to help people with mental issues, addiction, and get them off the street? What can you do? The experts don't tell you what they do. They just give you vague ideas, but tell you what you're doing is wrong. And this is, and they might be right about that, but still, they're not giving any solutions at all.
Well, the
only thing they've got is whatever you're doing is wrong, and you got to do it better. And
what they're trying
what we're supposed to be doing then.
And what they're trying to really come up with is out of sight, out of mind type of approach, rather than coming up with something like affordable housing, mental health care, and addiction treatment, and harm reduction service. Those sort of things is what we need. But I think we're kind of adopting more of an out of sight, out of mind type of approach.
Well, the problem here is a lot of these people will not take the housing, even if it's given to them. They end up back on the street. The addiction thing is a real difficult thing to crack. And they are constantly going back to the street for more drugs and dope. And as we found out many times in the places where they are established to help them out. It's what I think is going to have to happen is they're going to have to look through the groups of unhoused, pick out the ones that are most likely going to be rehabilitated, where they can get them off the drugs or for some reason get them housed, and work from there. So pick out the ones that are more likely salvageable, so to speak, where you can maybe help them make a transition to getting a job and getting a house and getting off of drugs and getting mental health help that they will actually go to.
Yeah.
But the big complaints a lot of times is these people go right back on the street, even when have the opportunity to get in housing, and their addiction problems are overwhelming, that kind of thing. So I believe that there is no solution, and there might have to be, and more communities are saying a more of a draconian approach is available. Are you still there, Peter?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just letting you continue on and focus in on what you were saying.
Yeah, I got there was a little box with a handsome face in it, got a big box with a handsome face in it. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah, well, it was, you got so many more options with StreamYard.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
So anyway, that's my take on it. Basically, here we go. It's just one more article with a bunch of experts saying, you're just trying to disappear these people. That's the wrong thing to do, but they don't tell you what alternatives there are. I just love experts that will not come straight out and say, this is what we should be doing. This is how we should do it.
Yeah. Clear-cut plan is what you're saying. I want a clear-cut plan.
Yeah. And their hands are always tied, because in order for a plan to really work, you're going to have to impose some restrictions on their rights.
Yeah.
And that, you're going to have to be able to take them off the street when they're stoned and put them in a facility where they can dry out. And I don't know, because otherwise they're just going to, and you got to ask the homeless people, you got to ask them, well, how come you want to live in this park? How come you don't want to live on the edge of town? Right? How come you want to be here? You know why you want to be here? Because in the middle of the city, that's where you get your drugs. The drugs are there. Yeah. That's one of the big reasons. Mental health issues, even though they have mental health, doesn't mean they like to be isolated. They still like to be around people.
Yeah. All right. Okay. It's time to move on to that particular article you referred to earlier on. Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was a prolific. That's what I don't know why I said Pacific. Prolific cocaine trafficker.
Yes. At a time when in the United States, they're throwing out, they're taking people who are immigrants and have had drug charges on them. They're throwing them out, even if they've become a citizen. So they're picking up people and trying to get rid of them if they've had a crime background. And this is really rich because Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was one of the biggest drug traffickers in Florida. As a matter of fact, Marco Rubio, when he was 16 years old, was living at their house that was full of cocaine. He claims never to have known that it was going on. I'm not sure if I completely believe him. Maybe I do, but he may be naive.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that you can be in such a place and not know what's going on.
You got to ask yourself, where was all this money coming from?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming from the exotic pet trade, but I think you got to think to yourself, wait a minute, this house is huge. This is all, he's always got nice cars, whatever. You got to think to yourself, what's going on? But in any case, while they're getting rid of people who have had minor drug charges, that are immigrants into the country, have become citizens, and in their history they've had minor drug charges, and they're trying to get rid of them. I mean, including marijuana possession, and they're trying to exile them back to the country they came from. Marco Rubio's family is protected.
Yeah, well, in a way, but remember also that Rubio isn't his brother.
Right. No, it's his brother-in-law, but it's his sister's husband.
Yeah,
his sister's husband.
Yeah, but he shouldn't be guilty for his brother-in-law's crimes.
No, that's not my point. My point is that he has protected his brother-in-law when other Cubans are being forced out of the country because they've had a much more minor drug offenses, and their citizenship is being questioned.
And that's fine. That's there's two different points there, because obviously he's not guilty because his brother-in-law is, but also the protection's another matter entirely.
Yeah, so when Marco Rubio blabs big time about drugs and the drugs that are coming into the country and poisoning people, his own brother-in-law was a major factor in that for many years. His own brother-in-law got a 35-year sentence, which he only did 1/3 of, about 11 years, so 11 or 12 years. So his brother-in-law, who was considered such a criminal by the U.S. Law enforcement, and they actually one of their informers, this particular gang, killed and dismembered one of the informers. That's how bad these guys were, and yet
you would have thought that he would have been a natural target for a foreign-born person, where who's serving time would be a natural target for the expulsion at the end of their sentence.
Well, yeah, but he got let out of jail back in 2000. And since that time, Rubio has made sure that his sister's husband gets a nice job in a real estate company. The $15 million that Rubio's brother-in-law is supposed to have had never got recovered, and yet now he's a successful. He's a real estate agent. Nice place to launder some money, don't you think?
Yeah.
So there's a huge amount of hypocrisy with Marco Rubio. I've also found out when I did a little bit of deep diving on this that the Cubans the Cubans in Florida were big cocaine dealers. There's more Cubans that came out of Cuba and got into the drug trade, including a lot of the soldiers that were in the failed Bay of Pigs operation. The failed Bay of Pigs operation, those soldiers, like I think disproportionately, a huge number of them got into the smuggling and then into the drug trade because they learned things from the CIA that were taught the CIA, so they were able to easily use those skills to bring drugs into the country. And I mean, it's insane what's gone on there, and yet guys like Rubio are talking about the poisoning of the nation, and it is these Cubans that are supposed to be the ones escaping Castro's communist regime, and they're the ones engaged in more of the cocaine than anyone, according to the research I did, I think basically also that Rubio used to claim that his family escaped Castro. They didn't. They left Cuba over 2 years before Castro got into power. Came to Miami, and when Castro then got in, they went back to Cuba to see if there was any job opportunities or more opportunities. They quickly found out that wasn't going to be the case, so they went back to Miami. So when he says they escaped Cuba, escaped the communist regime, that was just a big lie. So these guys, and then they say later, "Oh, I didn't know," blah blah blah, and all this. I don't know. It's just the guy's a little creep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So moving on, while we're talking about drugs and drug lords, Crime Stoppers loads of tips that led to Niagara Falls drug lab. So Crime Stoppers of Niagara did some investigation. They made a tip to Niagara Police to dismantle a major clandestine meth lab.
Yeah. The article says there that Crime Stoppers works.
Yeah.
And that somebody saw something that didn't look right, contacted the cops anonymously, and there was a huge drug bust. Probably saved a lot of misery. The drugs did. It did interrupt a drug operation for sure. There'll be one to fill its place soon enough, But in the meantime, we got a lot of dangerous drugs
Yeah,
off the
that's
street, and we also got rid of a 9mm handgun, which could have been used for, dangerous stuff. Any handgun off the street is good, if you ask me.
yeah. Well, it's a head in the right direction, and these things you can only do them one incident at a time, really. You've got to go based upon every tip that you get, and the trouble is the tipsters want when it comes to things like drugs. Oh, my next door neighbor's got a drug lab. You want it gone like right now. Whereas in fact, actually, the police need to check that out and do a bit more investigation. And they don't want it gone right now. They need to actually build a body of evidence before they make it go.
So this is what they got. It was on Brookside Drive, and they seized 42 20-liter pails of suspected liquid methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Suspected. I don't know if they did confirm that or not. 17 kilograms of crystal methylamine.
Yeah.
Methamphetamine, pardon me. That's crystal. Holy cow. Isn't that the stuff in Breaking Bad? Crystal methamphetamine.
Yeah. Crystal
and $6,200 in cash and a 9mm semi-automatic gun.
Not a whole lot of cash, but still.
It's not a whole lot of cash. It's but then again, you wouldn't be carrying a whole lot of cash with you when you're.
But again, it's $3.5 million worth of methamphetamine.
So they say. I like to know how they make that calculation. But so anyway, what is very clear here is that a bunch of methamphetamines got off the street, or that was going onto the street, and what appears to be ingredients to make some more.
Yeah. And 3 people charged.
Yeah, we'll see what happens to them.
Yeah, the thing about these charges is what we don't want is to turn around and have them released within 24 hours.
Yeah, if somebody puts up bail, then you're not going to find them again.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this stuff is easily to get. It sounds like a big bust, but I think it's probably just scratching the surface. There's probably another 4 or 5 houses in Niagara Falls that have 42-liter, 20-liter pails of ingredients.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing is that it began from one anonymous tip, and they're basically saying, the police are saying that the tipster has remained safe, anonymous, and protected at all times. That must be something that most people will be concerned about, especially neighbor. You see what's going on, and if you report it, there's only one person who could know, like you. That's what you feel.
Yeah, but it's also too, you have to think these people that got busted here, they might be the competition of the people that blew them in.
Well, that's always a possibility.
So drug dealers know other drug dealers. They know their competition. So what you're going to do is you're going to find a drug dealer, and he doesn't want to lose his spot, so he rats on his competition, and he might get somebody perfectly innocent to do that for him. Oh my goodness, that looks like methamphetamine. Oh, I don't want to get involved. And then the person that they're talking to phones, right? So that's also an issue too. I think overall, generally speaking, though, that crime tips are very important, and I think they're right. What they say here is the tip line helps law enforcement a lot, because typically law enforcement isn't much good until the criminals start ratting themselves out. That's where most of the crimes are solved, is when one greasy dude rats out another greasy dude. But when you have the phone line here, and everybody is afraid of criminals, of course, but if they can be assured of being anonymous, they can phone in this stuff. They can see a relative of theirs, or getting involved with something they don't like, or or whatever, and they could phone it in and be anonymous. So I think the police are happy to have the tip line. They're actually going to throw up, I think, flags or something like that on Flag Day, and have the tip line type of flag up or something. I don't know, but anyway, something to recognize the tip line thing.
Yeah. Well, I think the Crime Stoppers Niagara tip line is 800-222-8477, and 8477 spells tips. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can anonymously report anything you need to report.
I like to report outrageous reporting on Talking Niagara. Those guys should be arrested.
Yeah, well, okay. And
I could do it even better. We're like sending off QAnon messages by blinking certain ways. Yeah. I got it.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, so the other thing is, what was I about to say? There was something that's gone from my mind. Yeah, but again, like with a lot of these sort of things, it's one step at a time. The tips line may actually just indicate, the police may already be investigating it, or they may bring up something that the police are not aware of entirely.
Yeah. So, basically cops need help. They need criminals to write each other out, and they need public help, because obviously there are families that have seen one of their members go down the wrong road. They know all about what they're doing, but of course they can't intercede on their own. But if they find out some information, that their cousin got involved in some drug dealing and whatever else, and they can't really step in and do anything, but they know that their cousin is involved in selling drugs, and they get them from so and so. So you can put in a tip line that way. We do know, like our family and friends, we know people that you wonder sometimes go astray. So I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really experienced too many crimes except people stealing cigarettes, or a pack of cigarettes, or a chocolate bar or something like that. But major crimes I've never really witnessed, except I noticed a guy pull up to a boat and hook it up and take off, and then afterwards realized that was a criminal that I knew who did that. I didn't know he had a white Cadillac at the time, and once I found out that he did, then I realized he stole a boat in plain daylight. Just backed up to it in the guy's driveway, hooked up, and then took off.
Yeah, and part of the problem here is that when people do things like that, most people assume that they're authorized.
Yeah. Well, the bolder you are, sometimes the more you get away with stuff. But yeah, so if somebody, you're looking down the street, and you don't know your neighbor, and a car comes up, there's a boat there, and a car just backs up and just hooks up to the boat and takes off. You just assume that's the person who lives there,
Yeah. They're borrowing a van, a car or something, because theirs is busted right now.
Yeah, even if you know what car they have, so who?
Yeah. Well, again, you see, I think I know my neighbor fairly well, but again, sometimes they were away for a few days, and their daughter came, but it's only because we know them that we didn't say anything.
Well, yeah. So you didn't phone Crime Stoppers on them, which is a good thing, because you knew what you're doing. But anyway, it's always, if somebody is in their house, and you know them, that's okay. But I don't know if somebody came and started staying in one of these condos that I didn't know or haven't seen before, I wouldn't know if they belong there or not. And there's lots of PSWs that come in here too, because lots of these people are old. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if they belonged here or not.
Yeah. Well, and person comes in, there's an automatic assumption if they get in, if they've got a fob or something to get in, that they're valid.
Yes. Anyway, it's 8:01 and I got to do my bingo thing. The holidays are over and I got to start running around doing bingo pickups on Monday mornings again.
Yeah.
I was the bingo caller last night and I was awesome.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Okay.
Last night we had a brand new Kiwanis Club of Thorold. Brand new. They came in and looked us over in the studio because they'll be starting to put in volunteers as well. So that's good. Yeah.
Well, that's actually got to be encouraging that they can come along there and they can see the other clubs that are doing well and how they're doing. Obviously, a new Kiwanis club will take them a while to get off and get going, but I wish them all the best.
Yeah, they seem to be hitting their stride really good right away. So that's good.
Yeah.
In any case, without further ado, I bid you adieu. I will remind you of Gaza. It's way off the. Two things that have gone right off the front page. What dictators like to do is they like to start wars and divert the people's attentions away from their own problems. So you haven't heard much about Epstein at all, and you haven't heard much about Gaza, have you? You haven't even heard much about Ukraine. In fact, keep those in mind. Those are really essential news things that the administration of the United States and Israel is so happy that it's off the front page. Yeah. Don't let it put it off the front page in your own mind.
Yeah. And the Epstein files were gone the moment Venezuela took the front page.
Well, that's the whole point. And a lot of people suggest that that's what they do. The dictator does that, starts a little war, does something to divert attention. And Maduro, oddly enough, Maduro was going to do the same thing by invading Guyana, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Without further ado, I bid you adieu.